Yeah.
I think
All
at like
right.
2 in the morning.
God
All
damn, I hate
right.
this stupid fucking AT&T bullshit.
It looks like we've lost every viewer. So that's a good start.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're here. We're here. And we're alive and we're good to go. Can everybody hear us on that side?
They should be able to hear everything. Yeah.
Yeah. All righty. All righty. Well, welcome. It is my last week in Perth. Last week in Australia, in fact.
Yeah.
Just a few more days to go. Before we get started, I want to just welcome some new members to the channel. The first member of the new channel is Monkey in the Works. Thank you so much, who joined Basically Gods. And then Peter Collins. Collins, yeah, welcome to the Demon Dogs. Thank you so much. And finally, YouTube Surgeon General, welcome to the Demon Dogs. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. So yeah, last week in Australia, it's been quite a half a decade. Actually, it's amazing that it's been a half a decade already. It's quite. Have you guys been to Australia before? No,
I have never, no.
I ain't never been out of Texas.
Well, that that's not what any of us said there. Okay. I have been to countries.
Basically,
I have been to other countries.
do you mean the country, like countryside?
No, no, no. I mean other countries.
Actually, let's do this. What countries have you guys been to? Let's weigh it up. Let's see who's more traveled.
That's not fair. You used to live in a spot where if you fucking sneezed, you were in 10 different countries. Get the fuck out of here.
That's a fair point. All right.
No, we're in the same
Still in the
goddamn
same
state.
state. Still in Texas. I actually haven't been to that many countries.
What?
Oh, great.
This motherfucking.
I can hear you. I haven't actually been to that many countries.
No, you're
I've actually
not.
been to.
They're fucking with you,
Just
I
fucking
think.
with this.
Say something.
Perhaps. Oh
Say
no,
something
no.
inquisitive, JL.
Um, Say something inquisitive. Why is
Sure.
effed up? Why hasn't effed up world set a date for our debate?
Oh, that's all me. That's all me.
Ooh.
That's not an effed up world. That's all me. I've been work has been stupid. You guys know I'm transitioning to a different job, so I haven't done anything when it comes to debates. So yeah, apparently I pissed off Mind Duck because I didn't respond to him fast enough. To which I say, "Go fuck yourself." I don't give a shit. Don't get
Who?
mad.
You pissed
Some
off who?
Mind Duck asshole who wanted to sit there and try and be a dick about everything.
To quote, to quote, Conor McGregor. Who the fuck is that guy?
The fucking I mean, he sent this grand slew of emails
Oh,
to
Jesus
Johnny, and
Christ.
and he wanted to
Oh
debate
yeah, I
me,
remember.
and so I was sitting here reading these emails and everything, and then the longer they went on, the more wild they got. And it was kind of like, because it started going off into like, La La Wu land, their eyes in the clouds and shit. And I was kind of like, I'm not sure if I want to platform this guy, because at first I was like, okay, he just has a misunderstanding of like mathematics and science, and we can do this. But then he started going off into like really really weird shit, and I was kind of like, is it right to platform this? This because sometimes I get the feeling that some of the people that I talk to are not upstairs, and platforming mental illness is at a certain point it gets to be like, hey, let's all laugh at the
It's
crazy person.
abusive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it starts to feel a little abusive. So
I agree. There is a level where you have to kind of figure out, like, is this at the point where if we were in high school we would get a note sent home to our parents, basically, you know what I mean? There is a fine line. I mean, like, at the same time, somebody having a mental health issue doesn't, um, you know, if they know right from wrong, it doesn't mean that they can just say whatever they want. But if they're fairly harmless, then I tend to not even waste my time.
Right.
It's kind of like, well, what's the point? But some of them who are harmful, then yeah, fuck them. I'll go straight for them anytime.
Cut 'em
Well, I
off
mean,
with-
but there's a risk there because a person who is unstable, who's emotionally unstable, you push them hard enough, you have no idea what they're going to do. You have no
Very
idea.
true.
And if they're off in some other state or somewhere, you don't know who's around them, and that was always a concern. Because you might piss them off, and then they'll like react against somebody nearby. And
Like that guy that we dealt with that night. Well, I should say that guy that you dealt with that night on my Discord, the kitty guy that we won't talk about on YouTube for obvious reasons. But yeah, it's that is a genuine risk, though, isn't it? I mean, like somebody acting out in a certain way, and then you have to decide whether or not you think they could. And obviously, if we don't really know the person, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
So I have a question for you since you were about to leave Perth. Did you get my
Yes.
message? Did you get my message?
Which one?
I sent you a message about something that people in your live chat, people in your audience probably don't know much about. And
Oh yes,
it's
I
a-
did, and I gotta send you a picture of me there because I'm gonna go tomorrow, hopefully, to recreate it.
Okay.
So JL sent me a picture of the boat shed, right? The blue boat shed in Crawley in Perth. It's like 10 minutes from where I live. It's this beautiful house that's literally in the water. It's really, really cool. And I took a before photo when I started to lose weight there of me with a big, basically pregnant belly. And I found the t-shirt that I did the photo in, so I'm going to go back there and retake that photograph in the same spot. So yeah, it's a really cool place. Really, really cool.
And the reason I know about this thing because it's kind of like, well, how did JL find out about this blue boathouse? It's not exactly
Yeah,
like
I
it's
was
a
wondering.
national-
Yeah.
Is because I have Windows on my computer, obviously. So when my computer is in sleep mode, it puts up an image on my screen. So there's like Microsoft Photos that will just pop up that are whatever. And I get pictures from all around the world. One of the pictures that popped up was the blue boathouse in Perth, and I was like, and it's talking about, yeah, it's this kind of like, the city. It's a landmark in the city. Everybody knows it. It's famous. It's got a history. And I was like, it's a fucking boathouse, but there's got to be something cool about it. So I was like, hey, dude, Irish, before you leave Perth, you probably think this might be interesting for people to know about this. This bright blue boathouse in the middle of out there in the water. People might find that.
I'll send Johnny a picture of it. If Johnny can put it up on the screen. It is really, really beautiful. And it's kind of cool because when you look at photos of it, it looks incredibly serene where it is. But it's actually just off the highway, off the freeway. So it's actually in the middle of the Swan River, which is our main river here. And yeah, it's like a major thoroughfare. It's beautiful there, though. It's really, really pretty. I just sent you a picture there, Johnny.
All right.
I actually don't know the history of it. I need to look that up. But yeah, I've been there quite a few times. It's a really, really cool place.
Well, there you go.
Where'd you send it? Discord?
Discord, yeah. It was for sale not that long ago. I think it was like $500,000 or something.
Jesus Christ.
It's got history. Like it was, it's pretty important. But I thought that was kind of cool, and it looked really, really neat. So obviously it's a really
very cool.
It's a really popular, photographer spot, and
yes.
I didn't know much about it, and the man lives there, so it was like, hey, you should do this before you bail out of there and talk about like Perth and so some of the cool stuff around there.
I'm thinking about trying to do like a quick mini doc before I leave, like filmed all in one day, just about Perth itself. That's the plan anyway. I also have a funny video planned, so I'm going to do it hopefully in the morning. I won't tell what it is.
You mean finally?
Finally a funny video. I think I released. And let me know in the side chat if you saw the video. I think the 2 videos I released yesterday were the funniest videos I ever made. I really do.
You released a funny video yesterday?
Did you just stick your finger up your ass, JL?
I said, the funniest video ever released. I'd say it was close. It was up there, top 5 at least.
Top 5.
Where's your funny video, bitch?
Wow.
I don't do
Whoa.
funny video. Well, actually, I
You know.
My videos are funny, but my videos are also informative. They teach people things.
Ooh, this guy is gonna get some ass. Oh yeah, JL. I've got
You're
actually.
right.
On a serious note, I do actually have a video for you to do for me, if you want to, for when I take my time off. I found one of the most awful videos ever, questioning atheists. Right?
Oh.
It's one of these 5 questions for atheists one.
Oh, please.
And
yes.
it's one of these like, without God, why don't you go and rape nobody? And I'm
Wow.
like, dude, the fact that you need a God to stop you from doing that is really problematic.
That's telling in itself right there.
It's really bad.
I'm thinking that
really
individual
bad.
needs to be on a list somewhere.
Jesus.
I agree.
Christ.
I agree. He's like, y'all just love your sin. So what does that even mean? What's that even mean?
Wait a minute. No, I think he's got it backwards, because if he needs a God to tell him not to violate somebody, then maybe he's the one who loves the sin.
That's a good point.
Yeah, these
Loves it
Christians
so much that he needs a God.
These Christians that if it was demonstrably proven that there was no God, the fact that would just give them carte blanche to do whatever the fuck they want to run
It's
around.
terrifying,
Like that's absolutely terrifying. I
Yep.
mean, in 150,000 years of modern human history and evolution, and God didn't show up until like the last 2. So it's 148,000 years of human development that we had, that there was no concept of the Christian God. And then all of a sudden it deigns to show up in the last 2,000 years. Well, we seem to get along just fine without it for those first,
one part of the world as well.
Yeah,
In just one part of the world, yeah.
We got along pretty good in that 150,000 years. We did pretty solid, without it.
Yeah.
And that means that individuals who were like this, who wanted to run around and rape and steal and pillage and kill at will, I mean, the societies...
Burn the village!
The primitive societies of the time had ways of dealing with individuals like
fuck you,
this.
JL.
Of getting... I'm trying to finish a thought.
Sorry. Go ahead, finish your thought.
So primitive societies had ways of dealing with these. They would ostracize them. They would kick them out. They would support them. They would, they would stand against them, and they would get rid of them. But unfortunately, I mean, dang it, I actually said unfortunately. Society today allows for all people, no matter what their stripes, to have the opportunity for life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and that includes the people who once society deemed were too dangerous or whatever. So we give them an opportunity, and this is the effect. It's like, I need God, otherwise I'm going to pick up an AR-15.
I'm going to go out and skull fuck everybody.
Yeah. It's like...
I just don't get it, man. It's like, it's so crazy because I had this argument with a guy the other day, and I was like, you can't sit there and tell me that the Bible is 100% correct in every way because of all of these inaccuracies that we can prove, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, oh, well, God wrote the Bible through man. And I'm like, hold on a second. So you're telling me that God imagined the universe into existence, but he couldn't make a book? Are you shitting me? You have to get some dude to make a book. And the other thing is like, oh, we're made in God's image. I was like, hold on a second. So this guy believes in hell and that you go to the fiery depths of hell if you don't believe precisely what he believes. And he was like, oh, I love you, but you're going to hell and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I was like, so what you're telling me is that God made me the way he made me, and he's going to send me to hell because he fucked up. I was like, you don't bake a cake, leave it in too long and burn it, and then blame the cake. Like, that's not how it works. You know what I mean?
Stupid
It's like, did you make me? Are you perfect or not?
That's a big question that I ask a lot, because on Discord we've been doing these stages, and we get on there. We usually have audiences of between 400 and 500 people, and it's just random people. Random people who can join the stage via Discord, no matter where they're at. They don't even have to be a part of the server. They just jump in and they can join the stage and listen in. And we basically will ask questions like, does God exist? Is Christianity true? Do you have evidence? Blah 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 blah. And a big question I ask people is,
awesome.
It's pretty much what pushed my channel beyond 1,000, is because I was able to.
I gotta get in there some night.
It's really badass.
It's awesome. I'm gonna have so much more time when I go back to Ireland to actually do this kind of stuff. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. So I will ask people why the metaphysical gun to our heads. If God created, it's like in all honesty, if God is loving and whatever, then if I come to my conclusions honestly, He gave me credit. I mean, if God exists, God gave me the ability to critically think, the ability to judge evidence, the ability to come to conclusions honestly or intellectually honestly, and if I come to a conclusion that God does not exist, given the information that I have and my beliefs can only form based upon the evidence and the information, the experience that I have. If the evidence, the information, the experience lead to the honest conclusion that there is no God, or I do not believe in a God, it's not warranted, that's an honest conclusion. There is nothing more about that. Okay? Then why the metaphysical gun to my head? If I come to it honestly, if I stand before him, it's like, well, the evidence wasn't there, and whatever. I mean, there's no reason to warrant belief, and which was necessary. Why the gun to my head? Why send me to hell for coming to something honestly and using the tools that were given to me to come to that conclusion? Either God's a moral monster, or God does not. Either God's a moral monster, or God does not exist. It's quite simple.
Like, you didn't have to love your sin or hate God to get to that conclusion, right? So you don't necessarily have to come to that conclusion with any malice intended. You can just come to that conclusion based on evidence. But let me ask you guys this question. This is a serious question. Now, I'm sure I've heard you guys' stories at some time in the past, but I've been listening to a lot of religious debate lately, so I kind of get everything confused. Was there a point in your life where you did absolutely 100% believe in God?
Yes. There was a time where I had regular conversations with him, or at least I thought I did.
And what about you, Johnny?
You guys are making the assumption that I do or do not believe in a higher power. I have never really spoken on my religious beliefs before. For this very reason.
Yeah, that's a good point.
For this very reason.
You heathen.
I know I'm a heathen. I'm a heretic at the very least. So it is.
Yeah,
what it is.
Likewise. I think I used to believe in it, but I never had that kind of born again, direct connection with God thing. And I find that doesn't seem to be a thing in the Catholic world. It seems like most people just go through the motions, but don't seem to feel like they have this personal connection with God, like born again Christians.
That's kind of the way the Catholic Church is built, right? So the pathway to God is through the Catholic Church. You have to, priests and all that bullshit. And that's kind of where that's where Martin Luther took advantage of that. Hey, we can cut out the middleman and just go directly to the source of where Protestantism happens.
Yep. And there's also disagreements there, like the disagreement with Mary as being one of the objects of worship, apostolic succession, blah 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 blah, things.
Yeah. The thing that got me was mass. It's like, so God is everywhere at all times, but I have to go down the road to that building to fucking talk to him. You kidding me? Why, like going to mass every Sunday?
I never really. The only thing that appealed to me about mass was the fact that you could go to one every hour, so you didn't have to. Like with Protestant church, Baptist and Methodist and whatnot, you get sat in fucking 9 o'clock in the morning. You were there for like Bible school bullshit. And then after that, then you had the regular services, and then there were some other fucking bullshit services after the church. Like, god damn, I don't want to spend all fucking Sunday, one of the few days of the week off of school. I got to be in this stupid fucking building all day. Come on, man. I want to go fucking, I don't want to do something else. I want to do something else.
Yeah.
The other thing I was wondering about Christianity in particular in the US, I guess from the Irish perspective, my view would have been that most people in the US that are Christian would be Protestant of some description, right? Like Methodist or Baptist or some kind of Protestant.
It's all going to be area specific, right? So more,
So like Boston is going to be Catholic, for example.
So Northeast you'll see a lot of Catholic influenced religion, a lot of Catholicism in there, and you're going to find that in like California. You'll find a lot of that in New Mexico. Some a little bit here in Texas. It kind of depends on where you're at here in Texas. So
Well, that comes
So
down
would,
to,
I guess the Hispanic.
the most recent immigration, it was basically how immigration took off. The most recent immigrants in New York that came through New York, and the reason that there's such a Roman Catholic influence in, you know, Massachusetts, New York, and all this in the surrounding areas is because that's where the last burst of immigrants in the immigration wave came through. Is that you have people coming from Ireland, from Germany, from Spain, from everywhere, from Italy, and then coming through there, they go out, they settle out, they don't stray too far because you know they didn't have a lot of money. They set up their churches for their groups, and then lo and behold, you have a big one. But down here in the South, you have people far away. Then you got the Protestants here, and then of course coming up, you know, through Louisiana and everything. And then you've got Southern Baptist, you've got Lutheran, you've got Seventh Day Adventist, you've got Methodist. A whole number of ones, all big ones. But on the West, there is more of a Catholic. It was because that was where the old Spanish missionaries used to be. So they have Spanish history there.
Yeah.
And Spain brought the Roman Catholic Church with it. So that's why you have cities like San Diego, and there's a San and Los are the prefixes on a lot of the cities down there. And the reason for that is because the Spanish heritage.
So would a lot of the immigration from South America have brought Catholicism into those areas, or is South America not? So South America,
because Spain's influence came up from the South and from the West. So that was where Spain hit and brought the Catholic Church with it. And then Protestants came in and pretty much filtered down to the South because it was rural. There was a lot of space. There were big land grabs, and you could set it up. And and not to mention, unfortunately, the slave trade coming up through Louisiana and to the Gulf of Mexico allowed for access that way. And then, of course, the big last wave of immigration into the East was when the pretty much predominantly the Irish brought the church with them. So,
yeah, there you go.
Apparently,
I mean, the history of it is. The history of it is interesting. But yeah, I mean, there was a time I was a heavy believer. I was a big believer. I was like hardcore. I mean, I used to go out. I mean, I would have to go out in the backyard and have conversations with what I thought was God, and then realize, you realize later on, it's all about just focusing your emotions. It's no different than meditation. It's no different than sitting down and focusing on one particular thing so you can kind of compartmentalize your thoughts, or maybe you can just vent out some frustration or some anger or some confusion, where you can be like, it's no different than screaming into a pillow. You just talk to something that's not there, and I realized that eventually came to the realization that that's essentially what I was doing. But screaming into a pillow, I don't expect the pillow to do anything for me. And I don't expect the pillow has I don't think that the pillow has the chance to, or has the ability to change things for the better if it's so freaking desired to do. God, I always had that concept of God in my head, and it was kind of like, and stuff like that. Problems like the Epicurean problem of evil never sat well with me, and there were always conflicts there, and I always found myself.
Let me pose this question to you, JL, as a point of devil's advocate, so to speak.
Sure.
Do you think that your problem was with the fact that God does or does not exist, or the fact that God does not exist in the way that you were told he should exist?
No, that the very notion of such a being is logically contradictory, and yet I was told it exists anyway.
That's a funny way to dance around the question that I asked. Don't make me go Darth Dawkins on you.
Not the good Darth Dawkins. That the concept is that God is presented as X.
Okay. The question I asked was, is it the issue about whether God does or does not exist, or the fact that God does not exist in the way that you were told he exists, or it exists, or a supreme being exists?
Well, the notion is
let's hang on a second. Take away the fact that question assumes that God exists. Take that out of the scenario right now, because that's not.
They just reword it.
No, I don't need to reword it, because the issue to me, it seems as if the problem that you had could be a similar problem that a lot of people have, is that their understanding was so misinformed, so out of whack, that people get pissed off the fact that, well, how come God doesn't exist the way that these people on these pulpits were telling me that if I did this and I did that, I would hear the answers of God, and I'm not hearing that. Now let's assume for the sake of argument, for the sake of argument, let's assume that some sort of creator does exist, not necessarily the way that Christians believe or Yah believe, all that, right?
Deity.
A deity, or not even necessarily a deity, something that kicks the football, so to speak.
Yeah, I always say like the nameless, faceless, sufficiently powerful enough, creature or entity that kicked the football in the universe and then fucked off with no evidence of its existence. Sure, you could reason yourself to that.
No. Jail. Answer the question. Answer the question that I asked. Is your issue the fact? What started your deconversion? Was it the fact that, again...
What started my deconversion?
Yes.
Logical inconsistency.
Okay, okay. That's a nice textbook answer. Now, can you elucidate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. The very first step was I was sitting in congregation, and we were going through the deal that, what we just done doing a hymn, and because Methodists are big on the hymns. And my pastor, brilliant man, I love the man to death. He's a great dude. He's really more of a philosopher than a pastor. But Pastor Jack was up at the pulpit, and he was going into his next sermon, and he made a joke at the expense of the Baptists. Baptists and Methodists have kind of I don't want to say it's like a feud, but kind of a rivalry, and they have for a long time. And so he made this joke about the Baptists, and everyone in the congregation laughed. It was funny. Laughed at the Baptists. That didn't sit well with me. I was like, wait a minute. There was the very first thought in my head was, wait, why are we laughing at the Baptists? Now, at the time, I was not aware of the previous history between the Methodists and the Baptists, that it's very cliquish. It's like two cliques on the playground. Whatever. I wasn't aware of the previous history. But at the moment, the very first moment was it did not jive that, sure, they're different from us, but they believe in the same thing. They read the same book. Why are we making fun of them behind their backs? Why are we sitting here? I mean, I get it. It's all in good fun or whatever, but we're in church. I held the church in a particular reverence, that this is not where you play grab ass. That this is something very serious. This is what we do. And
JL,
so,
let's be honest here.
Hang on.
No, the church is exactly where we play grab ass.
Hang on a sec. I'm trying. I was fucking 13. Okay, I was 13 years old, and I'm trying to wrap my head around this. And at the time, I was trying to wrap my head around this concept. Why would they do this? This doesn't make sense. And that began the first steps of my journey, in which I began to explore the history of the Methodist Church in relationship to the other denominations. That's how I started learning about all the other denominations, because my parents never taught me that. It's not like they teach you that in Bible school, like how many different denominations there are, because that would lead to more questions. So I started looking into it myself, and slowly but surely, then there was a couple of other events that took place that were the exact same thing. It was like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Again, the second one was, and it wasn't even, and I've been accused of being mad at God, and I'm not. You can't be mad at what doesn't exist. And so the second one was, I got left behind on a youth mission trip. They took off and left me in a strange place. And I was 14, or I think I was still 13 at the time. So there I am in a strange place, and they forgot me. And I'm kind of like, whoa. But it wasn't anger. After the panic of it, my mother came to get me and everything, and she took me home. It was like shortly after that, it was, wait a minute, humans make mistakes. They really screwed up. They really screw up. Humans are fallible. That's what solidified the concept that humans don't get things right every time. And if I could be left behind on a mission trip, when this is a very tightly, it's not like there's like hundreds of kids. There was literally like I think like 15, 16 of us. And I got left behind, and there were like 4 adults. So it's like, that's a big screw up. Wait a minute. If something that easily can happen, then how do I know these mistakes weren't made with the Bible? Because, and humans, and I began to
that's a pretty big leap.
No, it's not a big leap. It's not a big leap, because I was already in the state, because at this point I've been studying other faiths. Why do they have different versions of the Bible? Why is there the
sure? But again, JL, you're focusing on the fact that everything that you're saying is based on the fact that the God that you were told about Didn't
No, it's
exist.
not. It's
Hang
no.
on
It
a
is not.
second.
It's not
Hang
based
on a
on that.
second.
No, because
Hang
that.
on
Hey,
a
no,
second.
you are no. That is
You
painting
can't
me as
tell me
intellectually
you
dishonest.
can't tell me I'm being intellectually dishonest if you haven't
No,
heard
no,
the
no.
fucking question.
You're painting
Okay?
me as
No,
intellectually
I am
dishonest,
not painting you as intellectually dishonest. I'm asking
or that
you a
it's an appeal
question.
to emotion.
No, I did not see. That's the thing. You're sitting there basing what you believe on what I'm going to say before you even heard what I have to say. Okay?
Yeah.
Lay it out then. Go
Okay,
for it. Lay
so
it out then.
this is what I'm asking. This is what I'm saying. It seems as if you're basing the conclusion you've based started out because what you were told about the god or the gods or the religion or however it was packaged to you didn't add up, right? So that it seems that the beginning of your, at least in the beginning of your deconversion, started with the fact that God wasn't what the people that you used to look up to told you it was. So therefore, we need to. It's exactly what you just said.
The religion wasn't.
Right.
Not God.
Okay.
The religion.
Okay. The religion wasn't what
Yes.
what it was told
So
you.
my interface with God was incorrect. There was something janky about that. And then once you strip away the religion and just go towards the spirituality and the God itself, that's when you have all the additional problems. I didn't start learning about that until like 5-6 years later, maybe even later than that, when I started getting into like the concepts of logical contradiction, philosophical quandaries, and this. I'm kind of like, oh, whoa. So because I backed off from organized religion way before I stopped believing in a God.
Okay. So the question that I asked originally was,
Uh-huh.
is your position, was it based on the fact that something doesn't exist, or the fact that, or the realization that these people were telling you that what they thought existed isn't exactly what it was? That didn't add up.
I'm leaning towards the second one, but it doesn't sound like it was worded correctly. It was the notion that how I'm being taught to believe that basically it was the notion that the representatives of God, like I said, the interface with God, the Methodist Church, was not doing this correctly.
Right. So what started your deconversion? What started your questioning of the God concept was the fact that what the Methodist Church was teaching you about God didn't add up.
No, it was their behavior.
Okay.
It was the behavior, and the behavior didn't jive with the things that they were teaching. And it wasn't that it had anything to do with God; it had to do with humans interfacing with God. And so I'm looking at it like, okay, but there's supposed to be this, there's supposed to be this, but humans behave like this. Well, that's weird. Well, humans are screwed up, and that leads to, well, humans are screwed up. They're fallible. They make mistakes. Oh. Let's go into this further. Okay, so they can misinterpret things. They can misunderstand things. How do we know that they're interpreting the word of God correctly? How do I know they're even receiving the word of God? How do I know they didn't just make it up? Because I'm a storyteller. I make shit up all the time. So, and it's just one step leads to another.
Can I just ask, just as a clarifying question, right? Just as a quick clarifying thing, just so that I'm sure that I'm understanding you right. Okay, so you don't seem to be suggesting that this is what immediately immediately proved to you that God doesn't exist, but the infallibility of the people who are telling you about God led you to start thinking about it. Am I feeling that right?
It was the fallibility
just wanted
of human beings.
clarify.
Yeah, because once the fallibility of human beings was demonstrated to me with absolute clarity, I began to the very concept that humans could be wrong about all of this. That's right. That was the first step. It was kind of like, we could be wrong, like legitimately. Do you think about being like 13 years old and having the concept run into your head? What if we're wrong about all this? I mean, I'm trying to.
Well, sure. I think at that age, I think a lot of people, at least around that age, that teenager, preteen kind of, beginning of adulthood, that's kind of where a lot of that stuff comes in. It's one of the reasons
agreed,
why.
but
One of the reasons why I
just,
asked the question. That's one of the reasons why I asked the question the way that I asked the question. I'm curious to find out. Deconversion stories are always fascinating to me, and I mean that in a truly inquisitive manner. I'm not trying to be, not trying to be condescending in any meaning of that or any meaning of that term, because it really does fascinate me to hear how people have got their journey from one thing to the next. Specifically when it comes to deconversion. Regardless of whatever I do or do not believe, it's interesting to me to hear what you have to say. That's why I was curious. I'm curious to hear if it was the fact that if it started with, most people have that, right? So for them, it starts with the fact that, well, God didn't add up to what they were telling me. He should, or it should add up to.
Some people don't. Yeah, some people do, and it doesn't sit well with them. And it legitimately is an appeal to emotion. Like, you start feeling a certain way. It's like, well, if God is X, then the world should be this, but the world is not this, so God must not be X. Or it's kind of like you start looking at things and the emotions start turning against the concept. It's like the Epicurean problem of evil. You start realizing, sure, some suffering is necessary. Suffering can be a very powerful tool for teaching people things. But bone cancer in children doesn't teach anybody anything other than what the look on a child's face is when they're dying in agony. That's pointless. And God could have actualized a world in which this one thing didn't exist. Children don't get bone cancer. Okay. Where's the loss? There's so much horrible tragedy out there in this world. This one particular thing we could probably do without. Make it of old age. Old people can get bone cancer, but children who are like 3, they don't need to get bone cancer. That's just sticking the knife a little too deep. So, but no, the world that God actualized is the world that God actualized if God in fact does exist. And the world that he actualized is the one where bone cancer affects children and they die agonizing, screaming death. So yeah, that doesn't make sense given the attributes that are typically attributed to God. So if God is omniscient, if God is omnipotent, despite the fact those are logically contradictory, or omnibenevolent, this doesn't make any sense. Especially if God has these powers, God could technically have made us in the final state with all the knowledge pre-baked in. All tests become arbitrary in the face of an omniscient creator. So just give us the knowledge. You have the power. There's no need to, okay, basically, you're running the rat through the maze or through the gauntlet, and you already know the outcome. You created the whole thing. You could run it 1,000 times. You know every single outcome infallibly. So then you just give the rat the reward. You already know all the potential outcomes. You know them all infallibly. So just put it in the end. You don't need to do the test. The test is irrelevant.
Right. No, again, but we keep falling back to what people think that God should be, because we're talking about the traditional Western concepts of God, right? The omniscience, the four
the omni properties, omni properties, and then of course the other ones, because omni properties lead to contradictions, and then so we need to redefine God.
Right, special reasoning. Yeah, I get it. No, I get it. So to me, it seems that there's a lot of people that a lot of people base their position on, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but a lot of people base their position on what is or isn't based on what people tell them that something is, and that's where a lot of people stop their conversion journeys or their the search for the information. They'll stop there. Well, this doesn't add up, so that's good enough for me. And then there are other people that'll go a little farther and see, or a little further actually.
Well, sometimes the appeal to emotion does come into it. I mean, I can tell you.
Well,
honestly,
okay, to sit here and say that there was not an appeal to emotion on your side, that could be.
No.
There
wasn't points. There wasn't
Sure.
points. I mean, nobody goes from a devout believer to an atheist and not have their emotions come into play. This was not a completely and totally logical process. I arrived at a logical and reasonable and honest conclusion. But to say that
Right.
obviously the first and foremost was, why did my parents teach me this? This is real. I felt betrayed. It's like, why? It does mean nothing. It doesn't explain anything. And all it does is left me with more questions and made my life more complicated. I was angrier as a Christian because of the logical contradictions, because there was always something that just didn't jive. And when you're 13 and 14 years old, you can't articulate this shit. But something's not mixing. It's like, what is wrong with this? Why doesn't this work?
Yeah.
Cognitive dissonance. And you only know the stress that it caused. It's cognitive dissonance causes anxiety. And that's all you know. It's kind of like something's not making sense. And then eventually you grow up and you get educated, you can articulate it, you can understand it. And yeah, that led to some anger. I was angry there for a while, mostly at my mom and my dad, because it was kind of like, why? And it was just like all this wasted time and effort and money and you know, setting me up. I felt like I was set up to fail. It was kind of like, why would you do this? And then of course you realize, no, that's not their intention. They were not being malicious and blah blah blah. And then you go through the whole rigmarole. And then of course there's the terror when you deconvert and you realize there is nothing. That's it. So this is the 70 to 80 years you get, and that's all
funny.
You get. So make the most of it.
I
And
wanna-
the real fear was
I do want to interrupt you for really quick, because that's funny you talk about. There's a lot of other people that I've talked about in their deconversion, when they realized that there wasn't this foothold on them. That's You said that it was scary for you, but the majority of people I talked to said it was freeing. It's like, fucking hell, you know what I mean? It was like,
it is now. My gut check reaction was, I'm responsible for my life.
okay, I got you. You're talking about in the immediate reaction.
Yes, and
not
so
the
for
realization.
I would say for a short time there, I was kind of like, holy shit, I'm responsible for my life, like all of it, like actions and inactions. And one of the scariest things was the fact that I was responsible for all the times when I was a Christian believer and all the times that I did nothing because God has a plan, or it's in God's hands, or God moves in mysterious ways, blah, blah, blah. All those little justifications for me not to do something because I shouldn't get involved, or it's not my business, and, God will take care of it, yada, yada, yada. And I look back at all those times when I could have done something and I should have acted, but I didn't. And I'm like, oh, and it was scary enough that it almost just by sheer virtue of not wanting to deal with that, it almost sent me running back to the church, because at least ignorance was bliss. I didn't have to worry about these things. I could just like convince myself, but I couldn't. I can't unbelieve a thing unless I have evidence to support it. I can't just make myself be a believer. I'd be bullshitting myself the whole time. So I was like, yeah, that was scary, until I realized, oh, wow. From this point forward, my life is my responsibility. My life can be whatever I want. It's my plan. I can set the plan. I can lay the track for my future. And there's no like, magnifying glass over me like going, don't masturbate. It's nothing like that. So I realized
that was just your mom.
Is that a small penis joke?
No.
So
metaphorical magnifying glass. Okay.
So then I realized that my life is my own journey, and that's when it became empowering and freeing, because I realized I have the power in this, and now I'm far happier. My life is infinitely better. I am more engaged with people because this is what we've got. This is it. I'm not going to waste a second not engaging with people. You're not going to get a fake me, because I don't want you to remember me that way. I don't want people to remember, oh, there was Jared. He was so kind like this, but we never saw another side of him. He seemed to be very one-dimensional. It was like looking at a sheet of paper.
Who the fuck is Jared?
Oh, sorry. People know my actual name, but JL. People, I don't want people to have this memory of like when they interact with me, it's like, oh yes, it was like, and then that's pretty much it. No, I want it to be real, and I want it to be legitimate. I want it to be honest, and it's going to be dirty and gross, and it's going to make people upset, and it's going to make people cry and laugh, and that's the range of human experience. As a Christian, as a believing, as a Bible thumping, devout Christian, this level of kind of like, of embracing my humanity, that never would have entered in my head, because it's there's God, there's a relationship there, piety, and and understanding your place, and blah, like that, and but now much better off. This is my personal spirit. This is I am HO.
I am HO. Fucking teenager, you.
that's the best way that I can put
We
it.
have
And yeah.
bored Irish demon asleep. Look at him. He's passed the fuck out with his eyes open.
No,
All
I'm actually enjoying listening.
Let me flip this, Johnny.
right, flip it.
And you don't have to go into detail. You don't have to go into detail. Why have you never put a dog in this race?
Because it doesn't really do much of anything other than cause arguments amongst pals.
But we work through it.
Sure, we do. Yeah, I just don't ever put a dog in this race because what I believe is what I believe, and I don't think that my opinion or belief should in any way, shape, or form influence anyone else's. So therefore, I keep that to myself.
Keith Grober is in the chat.
Yeah.
And says that I am the Subway guy.
Oh, dog, that's not right. That's not right.
That is not right at all, Keith.
That is not right.
That's some cold-blooded shit. That's some cold-blooded shit. I understand you're riffing off my actual name, and that's fine. But think of the consequences of that particular character. Say I'm like the character from The Pretender. His name was Jared too. So everybody caught that. That's my legitimate. That's like my first name. I don't go by it. I go by my initials because it's my writing. It's not even really a nickname. It's how I put my name on my writing on my screenplays and the novels that I write. So
I tell you what, man, that whole business about Jared and Subway gave that Subway line, "Jared eat fresh" thing.
Oh,
Fuck.
it's terrifying.
That's fucking terrifying, man.
What was really disgusting was after the whole thing came out and he went to jail and the big thing was blown up and it found out like Subway knew about it for like 2 years. There was complaints about his behavior and then they finally all came to light.
Oh, man, I'm so sick of that shit. I'm so sick of all these companies and whatnot fucking hiding this shit, talking about, well, we didn't want the negative fallout. Here's the thing. What's worse?
Protect the cash cow.
Exactly. What's worse? The negative fallout from admitting that, hey, look, we fucking did this shit. We found this stuff out. We put a stop to it. We did whatever it was we were supposed to do. He was accused of this, and it's credible. So we decided to stop our relationship with this person. Or what really happened? We're just gonna not say anything and hope it all goes away. And then Subway all of a sudden now they got to spend this millions and millions of dollars on an ad campaign distancing themselves from the fact that they platformed a child exploitation person.
Yeah, but what was really gross was after all was said and done, the dust settled. Subway, he's gone. He's in prison. And it's kind of like, what does, obviously this didn't kill Subway that's still around, but they had to do something.
Yeah, they did.
So
they went to damage control.
For a few months, it was like free double meat on sandwiches. And I'm like, and I realized they ran a national, and I found out that I was like, what the hell? I looked into it. They were running a national ad campaign, free double meat on all their sandwiches. I'm like, are you?
Hey, we're sorry your kids got diddled, but here's some extra meat in your sandwich.
Here's some more meat for you. Like, what the hell is wrong with you people?
Wow.
Do you just not anyway. But my nom de plume. Tony Regime says my nom de plume. Or because it's not what's the other one? It's not a pseudonym.
I forget. Yeah, well, it kind of is. It's kind of
a pseudonym. Okay,
kind of a pseudonym. Kind of. It's more just I think your nom de plume would be more accurate because again, it's just the way you present your actual name. Because JL are the initials, so.
I'm going to continue to go by JL. You can call me JL. Obviously, the J and the L stood for something. And it was just, I thought it looked better. It wasn't a matter for security or anything. My shit's all over the internet as it is. But yeah, I thought it was aesthetics. So you can call me my actual name. You can call me JL. I don't give a shit. I don't care.
Hold on. You have aesthetics.
Fucking Irish.
Did you just you just popped up in this conversation like a big mushroom, man?
I did.
Hey guys,
I want to give a quick shout out to somebody who's watching from home. Talia, good to see you. But anyway, continue back to your fight about why JL's wrong.
Whoa. Nobody said
Hang
anything
on a
about
second.
jail. Nobody said
So-
anything about jail being wrong.
So Indy Tiger says, JL as an atheist, let me play devil's advocate for a minute. Assume God is infinitely powerful, and in his infinite choices, this is the most painless way to get humans where they need to be. No, because if he is infinitely powerful, he has the ability to construct a world in which we have free will and evil does not exist and suffering is unnecessary to teach any lessons because he is all powerful. I can imagine a world that has better positive outcome than this one with less pain. That has more positive outcome with less pain. Because God can instantiate that world. So God instantiated world X. World Y is better because it doesn't have this and it does have this. God could give these things because he is infinitely powerful, but he chose not to, which means that either God was unable to do it or God chose willingly that he wants the world to be this way, which means that either God is a sadist, if he exists, because he could have instantiated a world that did not have this, a more positive affecting world than he gave us, or he couldn't, which means he's not God, which technically means that this God does not exist. So,
or another just a caveat, I guess, to that is it could be, and this is again just spitballing, it could be the scenario that God or the creator, if there was one, could be somebody or something or some entity that simply created it without any what would you say, particular meaning or any particular purpose.
oh yeah, if you want to go like if you want to go like the aliens seeding planets through the galaxy as they move along,
or,
if you want to go in that respect, then
yeah,
sure,
something like that. Or like, I mean, for example, perhaps, right? So let's say in the case of humans, right? So human beings made apple juice, and then some yeast got into that apple juice accidentally. They made cider, for example. So it could be the case that this entity made this universe for whatever purpose. It could be anything. Maybe he needed somewhere to keep his dry underwear. Who knows? And we are a byproduct of that, and he has no input in us, doesn't care. You know what I mean? So there could be that element too, that maybe people have an inkling, the religious have an inkling that a God may exist, but they're attributing human attributes to it and suggesting that it's some man that made the universe or whatever.
Well, yeah.
It could be a bit of both. It could be that it does exist and it's the fallibility of humans that, you know, gave it these attributes or whatever.
Well, we could be the accidental byproduct of an experiment gone wrong.
This is true. Life has a funny way of, of like kind of like shooting out and doing whatever the hell it wants to do. Life finds a way. But that's what life. I mean, that's what it does. And
JL, are you saying that an island full of female dinosaurs will somehow breed?
I'm saying, yeah. So, sure, it could have been aliens that were seeding planets. It could have been panspermia. There's a number of hypotheses about whatever. Now, what is it's abiogenesis. We know where life came from. We understand it. I think there's like 12, 13 different hypotheses, competing hypotheses for exactly how it happened on Earth. But we understand them all. It's kind of like, well, it could have been this way. The only problem is no one was there to watch it. So,
I think another issue with that whole thing is when you get into specifically talking about organized religion or, you know, religions as we know it, that it tends to stray away. And this happens always. Once science answers the question of how, it tends to stray more into the realm of why, like for what purpose.
Yeah.
So, for example, why does the sun go around the Earth? Well, we know that it doesn't. We've explained that it does not. We can demonstrate it. We have images and videos and measurements to prove it. So now it becomes a matter of, well, why does the Earth go around the sun then? Why did God do this? So when it comes to the hypothesis of where do human beings come from, where did life come from, we have a good understanding of how from studying phylogenetics and all the rest of it, abiogenesis, all of that kind of stuff. And then what they tend to do in the case of a religious argument or whatever is stray it more into, well, why then? Well, why did we emerge? There must be a purpose.
Humans have an extraordinarily narcissistic necessity to think that they are fucking special. Okay, I mean that's just what it is. Like we
kind of are, aren't we? Aren't we kind of special?
No, we're not. We're the one species on the planet that has the ability to look up and ask why and looking for some agential reason.
Well, doesn't that make us a little special when it comes to other?
It doesn't make us special because by comparison to the other things in this planet, we are beyond levels of stupid compared to the great cetaceans, who are far more complex in many, many ways than we are, compared to like bonobos, who have incredibly dynamic social structures. They're full of compassion. They don't go to war. Monkeys or apes have figured this shit out, and yet we can't.
Well, that's the bonobo, not the chimpanzee. Chimpanzee goes to war.
Chimpanzees
Chimp goes to war, yeah.
They're mean as shit, and they even have gangs that will, like rove around and kill other monkeys. It's ridiculous.
Here's one thing that the great apes, outside of the human great apes, don't have: cars. Technology. No. I mean, it's funny, but I think it is kind of. I mean, we have there is something special about the human race. I'm not saying that we were specially chosen, but something happened to this this branch of evolution that is special. There is I know that it's a mutation, JL, but I'm saying there is something that is special about the way that we've mutated. Because again, I'm fucking talking to you with a piece of plastic, some silicone, and some wires going through whatever the fuck is going through, cables under the goddamn sea. Who gives a shit? And I'm talking to a guy in fucking Sataloons. Yeah, I'm talking to a guy in fucking Australia. That's
connectivity is amazing. Yes. It's
not just connectivity. It's not just connectivity.
But you see the what we're in, the cities that we've built, the art that we've created, the amazing things that we have accomplished on this planet. Yes, it is incredible. Okay, it absolutely is. By virtue of mutations or whatever of how our brains developed, I mean, there's still some complications between our hind-brain, mid, and forebrain. That's a virtue of evolution, but we've managed to do some pretty amazing things on this planet. It doesn't inherit, but because of that, just because a thing is a way it is, doesn't mean that another conclusion is warranted. We have created things like the Mona Lisa and the Eiffel Tower and all kind of connectivity around the world. Sure, that doesn't make us necessarily special in the eyes of the cosmos. Just means that we are unique in this respect, as far as we can tell.
The eyes of the cosmos. I'm talking about locally. Come on now. I mean, we're the only, we're the only thing on this planet that can do what we do.
We've dominated the planet, but in a million years, there could be another species that's done it. And now we're in competition with them. Who freaking knows? So we have the opportunity.
So here's the thing.
But humans, humans want to feel special. We need to feel special because it's hard work deriving a purpose for oneself. Okay? It's much easier if someone comes along and gives it to you. Something created us. How did we get here? What is my purpose?
I'm not necessarily saying that the fact that I'm not necessarily saying that us being special is in any way, shape, or form reflective of there being a supernatural or spiritual reason or cause for that specialness. I'm just saying. I think it's.
I'm saying that the reason these things exist is a combination of human curiosity, human ignorance, and human narcissism, and human narcissism. And laziness.
Here's the thing, right? What Johnny was saying raises a very interesting point too, right? So human beings, on an individual level and on a global level, we always have been very anthropocentric. We think everything is about us, and we think that nothing is as smart as us. And Johnny's right when he says, look at the evolution of technology since. Pretty much since, as I was told today, since caffeine got into our systems, that was literally the catalyst. And that it's funny, but it's true, because the tea break during the Industrial Revolution, the tea break is what allowed people to work for longer and work through the night. Tea and coffee breaks, because tea, coffee, and chocolate all got to and tobacco all got to the United Kingdom at around the same time, and it allowed people to work harder and longer. Mm-hmm. And now we've seen this exponential growth in technology. If you or I were to go back in time to our grandparents' time when they were our age and say to them, I'm just going to send you a link on a tweet from Australia to Texas. It'll take a second to get there, or you can send me money in a split second via Snapchat, hint, hint. But no, seriously though, if you were to say, you were getting on a boat from Ireland in the 1850s during the famine, heading over to Australia, right? Your family wouldn't see you again probably ever. But if I was to say to my grandmother back in those days, okay, I'm heading on the ship over to Australia, I'll Snapchat you on the way, or I'll FaceTime you, you'd get locked up. They'd think you were crazy. So that massive leap in technology in a short period of time is good evidence that we are very much a supreme creation or supreme. What would you say? That we are the supreme animal in that respect. But we must not forget, and again, our anthropocentrism kind of causes us to feel this way sometimes. We are not the only human species to have existed. There was loads of others. Some that and it's not even a linear thing. It's sorry, I should say it's not a what would you say, a parental lineage. There's also creatures that existed with what would be considered modern Homo sapiens at the same time that were also humans, like Denisovans, like not so much Erectus, but definitely
Neanderthals, Rhododendrons, Denisovans, red deer people,
all those
Floriensis,
So they were all, Floriensis. So they all had the same potential as we had. Now, for example, if you look at the Neanderthal brain versus the Homo sapiens brain, ours are bigger and they're developed in a different way. The Neanderthal were incredibly good when it came to things like art and engineering, for example. They were also evidently very good at critical thinking, and they were able to form religions and tribes and cultural beliefs and all the rest of it. So they had the potential to match us in certain ways, especially where engineering and stuff is concerned. But where we differentiated from them was our ability to not necessarily critical thought, but our ability to develop abstract thought and abstract reasoning to the level where we could come up with concepts that don't exist yet, and then apply our abilities and our knowledge and our growth to those things to make them exist. And that's basically what set us aside. So we were so close to these other animals, and then the further back you go, the more the line gets blurred when you go back through the different Homo species, back to our earlier monkey ancestors, pre-ape ancestors. And you see where that divide is. You see the intelligence in chimpanzees, you see the intelligence in bonobos, in orangutans, and then to a lesser extent gorillas, and then obviously the old world apes and monkeys. And you see that development on different branches. So there's certainly ability for intelligence in other creatures, but we're the last one left. We won the lotto in that respect. We won the fight in terms of, we know for a fact that humans and Neanderthal, for example, lived side by side, because I have Neanderthal DNA. Both of you likely have Neanderthal DNA because you've got European ancestry.
Dahlia, baby. That's where my people hail from.
I can tell you are a big Neanderthal looking motherfucker, but so yeah, you know what I mean?
I was gonna say JL and I can't get away from it.
No, we can't at all.
and the argument I always have with a lot of, especially anti-evolutionists, is they say, well, if we came from monkeys, then why are there still monkeys? Well, my argument is because they're very good at being monkeys. They haven't had as much evolutionary pressure on them.
That's not how evolution works.
Bipedal.
That's one thing that kills me about these.
There was a
creationists. Hang on a second. No, I was going to say the thing that kills me about these anti-science motherfuckers is they continually use their misinterpretation of whatever the fuck science are talking about. Meaning, well, I understand science is this way, so therefore this is the way science is. No, that's when you get somebody who's a creationist or anti-evolutionist talking about, well, if monkeys evolved into humans, why do we still have monkeys? Well, that's straw man fallacy there, because that's not what evolution says.
Yep, exactly right.
Yeah, there was in the ecosystem there was a chimpanzee shaped niche. And then the chimpanzee that fit that niche is the one that made it through, and all the other ones did not.
Exactly.
There was a human-shaped hole, and modern humans made it through, and the other ones just didn't quite fit in that hole and ended up dying out.
Right.
We fit the space. We adapt to the space, and the ones that are most adaptable, the ones that can adjust. I mean, you look at human beings. We go. I've seen a Neanderthal skeleton. Those cats were not to be fucked with. That was that was creepy. I was kind of like, holy shit! They're fighting this thing is like a tank. Their ribs are closer together. Their bones are denser. It's harder to get at their vital organs. Yep. They were strong as shit. It's kind of like, why would I fight this thing? But
they were built to be hardy and steadfast and able to withstand.
I'm lighter. I'm faster. I'm more social. I have more complex language. I can organize better, and
That's the difference.
That's the difference.
That's where the abstract reasoning side of things comes into it, because one soft pink human being on their own up against a saber-toothed cat has got no chance. But a tribe of them with sharpened weapons are going to be able to protect themselves. So they didn't need that level of strength. Also, we have evidence that human tribes or human bands tended to be much larger with more children than Neanderthal bands. So we had a better opportunity in that respect. And then the other thing is when they talk about, well, why is there still monkeys? One of the things that I always point them to look at is a thing that's called Insular Dwarfism. And it's a really interesting thing that happened in about 4 different places in the world. The most common one that I tend to look at is, I think it was on the Andaman Islands, right? So if you look at an Andaman Islander, maybe not so much modern, but certainly in antiquity, they were really, really, really short. They were about 5 foot max, like max, like usually in the 4 foot range, right? These are just Homo sapiens that were really, really small. But then you look at the other animals that lived in that environment. The elephants are dwarf elephants. All the deer, they're all really tiny. All of the animals are much smaller because the availability of food was much less, and therefore people who were of smaller stature survived better and passed on their genes, right? And then so everything ended up being really, really tiny, and that's insular dwarfism. And then if you look at the situations that our primitive ancestors, back at the time when us and chimpanzee ancestors had that divergence, when we were still the same species back in the phylogenetic tree, some of them ended up in West Africa. We were spread all across Africa. Some of them ended up in West Africa, and the ones that happened to become Homo sapiens ended up in around the area of Kenya. And what are the 2 major differences between West Africa and Kenya? West Africa is covered in rainforests where chimpanzees tend to live really, really good lives. The ones that became Homo sapiens lived in more arid conditions where they needed to be able to eventually become bipedal and be able to hunt in bands, transition to eating meat more readily and things like that. So evolutionary pressure causes things to happen, and that's what we saw happen. And a lot of other human type species died because they just didn't evolve fast enough to suit their conditions. Simple as that.
I mean, there was a point in time when human beings were almost reduced to, we're almost leveled extinct. When Toba erupted, when Toba went off,
that's right.
That reduced.
There's only about 1,000 humans left.
I think the estimate is around 16,000. But left left on the planet. And
the whole planet,
it's like, that one almost took it. That was technically a great filter that almost took us out, but we managed to bounce back from that. And that was, very early on when Toba erupted. And we were able to come back. So, because we got very lucky just by virtue of the placement of where humans were at the time. So, absolutely, and of course, you imagine all the diversity in human beings or in Homo sapiens or the Homo genus that existed before Toba erupted. And then we lost all that genetic material. All of that got reduced down to this. And then by virtue of that, now we have what we are now. But imagine if Toba had never erupted. We might not even look like this. So,
or we might not even exist, because we could have got to the point where there were so many of us that we became extinct because of other issues.
Yeah, that's true.
And, we might have evolved much faster and resulted in all-out war and destroyed the universe, destroyed the Earth, whatever.
I like Destroy the Universe better. I like Destroy the Universe better.
Go full on Darth Vader.
I like the idea that the dinosaurs actually had complex cities and societies like the show, and then we lost all of it. The asteroid impact, it's all gone.
Imagine T-Rex trying to type though.
The layer of that's why that's where the claws come from.
There you go.
See, unstoppable. And that
thing is, they always talk about one of Kent Hovind's things is he's like, well, once upon a time we had the wolf, and eventually it became the most useless animal in the world, a chihuahua. You could never evolve a chihuahua back into a wolf. And I'm like, actually, you can.
Technically, you could.
You absolutely could. You could eventually, over not very many generations, you could do it over, less than 100 years. You could completely transform a chihuahua by selectively breeding larger, more powerful ones until you got a much bigger animal. That is something you can do. But it always brings me back to the thing of like once upon a time, a wolf-like creature saw a band of humans around a fire pit and thought, what would happen if I go over there and ask for some food? What's the worst that could happen? And then I look at my chihuahua and I'm like, she's like in the corner shaking. I'm like,
they changed my diet. Now I have diarrhea.
Now I shit everywhere all the time and shake.
It's just like there's a group. I know there's a group in Asia. I can't remember where. I need to look it back up again to see how it's going. But they're trying to selectively breed the auroch back into existence.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
It's a slow and agonizing process, but the vast majority of European beef does have auroch DNA, so that lineage still exists. And they're trying to selectively breed that thing back into. There's efforts to try and selectively breed the woolly mammoth back into existence. But obviously, I mean, these traits are so far down the line. It's going to take forever if it's even possible. But they hope to eventually get to a. Well, I think the hope is they'll eventually get to an animal that has enough of the traits that they could then extract that and then genetically manipulate that to get to the actual animal itself. So.
There was a man during World War II. I don't remember his name. Something like Anthony Himmler or something like that. And he wanted to reintroduce. I think it was the oryx or a similar type, large wild bovine into what is now the Czech Republic. He planted a ginormous forest there. Let me see if I can find it because. Even though those people were particularly nasty individuals, when it came to science, they had some big ideas. And they actually managed to get an animal that was almost the exact same. It was pretty impressive. I think it was the oryx.
Jarl says Australia needs more terror birds.
Oh, man. I know a few terrible birds around Australia, I tell you that much. I'm going to see if I can find this about the cows. So, a special breed of cow developed during the Second World War lives on today in England. They instituted a program to breed oryx, which a now extinct breed of cows that once roamed Eurasia, and it was the famed prey of Roman hunters. So they were known as the N people. You know what I'm talking about? World War II N people, super cows.
Aurochs are no joke, like legit. That's a big ass cow.
Yeah, that is a big cow. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, he tried to rebreed those. I think they actually did succeed, and they're after the war. A lot of them died during the war, I guess, and there wasn't a whole lot of them. But yeah, somebody did manage to take some of them and brought them back to the UK and started a breeding program there. So my understanding is that there is actually a breeding program of them in the UK. So there you go. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, the United Kingdom is a small island off the coast of Ireland. Frank Perry is the newest member. Welcome.
You have a couple super
Welcome,
chats to
Frank
get to,
Perry,
by the way.
to Basically Gods. Oh, I have some super chats. Let me scroll up.
One day I will. Have
thank
super
you, Frank.
chats.
Oh, it's not far off.
Yeah, you got.
Timo Lynch says, breaking, Irishman discovers the true shape of the universe during YouTube stream. Pint bottle of cider. Absolutely correct.
Yep.
Golf clap.
Yesterday I was trying to put some. Oh wait, this is going to sound bad. I was trying to put some powder into this machine that I was using to wash the carpets, and I basically made a funnel. I was like, "Oh, look how awesome that is!" And Jen was like, "Oh, breaking news! Man invents funnel." I was like, "You cheeky bastard." I couldn't believe it, man. I can't.
Look what I make. Look what
I have created.
Fluid travel through. Control.
Meanwhile, you have Betty Crocker.
It's like
going,
Who's Betty Crocker?
Nobody.
You did not just ask that question.
Jarl Webbard for €2 says €2 like 80 Aussie dollars, right? Correct.
I think that's
that is
it's
correct.
pretty close. Pretty close.
It's pretty close. It is pretty close. But thank you so much, Timo and Webbard. I appreciate it. I can't wait to go for a pint with Timo when I get home. It's going to be awesome. We're going to the beer house. So yeah, there you go.
Cows with guns. I'm so glad. I just saw that in the chat from Daryl M. Cows with guns. So I mean, I'm so close. I broke 1,000, which is awesome. That's old news. So close to my watch time. Apparently that Otangelo debate is just the gift that keeps on giving because
Yes,
it's
it
so
is.
ridiculous.
It was so good though, JL. It was really fun.
You know, this cat is still in my DMs trying to win this damn debate, and like, how long?
Get him
ago
back
was-
on.
Oh,
Get him back on. Get your hours
I don't
done.
know about that because I mean he has talked so much mad shit, and I think now it's literally come down to everything he's thrown at me from like a religious or everything from a science perspective. I keep taking it down. It's like no, it's this and you're misrepresenting this, blah blah blah. Now he's just throwing scripture at me. He just like blah blah blah, and
That's
then
no
idle
good.
threats, and you'll figure it out when you're dead, and yeah, and I'll pray for your soul, and all these friggin'
JL,
bullshit.
what I have to tell you is something that I can easily read off the interwebs, although you may not be able to understand the words that I'm saying, or at least I don't understand the words that I'm saying, but you have to
That is
understand.
uncanny.
Jesus fucking Christ.
It's
Look,
it's,
that is one of the most
Oh,
difficult. Hang on a second. That was one of the most difficult debates I've ever had to moderate because of his just monotone reading, and he doesn't take a breath in between. It's like, look, there's punctuation
Yes.
there for a reason. Okay,
He sounds like Brazilian Kermit.
he does.
I mean, I have a comment. I will say this. He is because I do his voice too. I mean, we all do his voice. I mean, pretty much anybody who's interactive does the Otangelo voice because this is how he wants to explain all the information that you don't seem to be understanding. You're coming to your conclusions because you deny the God and your unrighteousness. Romans 11, whatever. And I mean, we all make fun of it, but man, holy shit, he was butthurt. Yeah, I mean, because I parody his voice, and I make some people laugh. Some people find it funny.
Oh, sorry, jail. I just need to interrupt a 2nd We're one viewer away from 69. We are one viewer away from 69. So somebody needs to go right now and share this with somebody so I can do my 69 nice. And before I hand it back to you, very quickly, $5 from Indie Tiger says, JL, the dinosaurs did have complex cities. Just watch the terrible thunder lizards from the 90s cartoon. Eek, the cat. The UK never heard of it. Thank you so much, Indie Tiger. Really appreciate it. And Crafty Keela's in the house. Good to see you, Crafty. Hope you're doing well, enjoying
Crafty.
the heat in Ireland.
Oh yeah.
Ireland's
So,
super hot right now.
but yeah,
so hot right now.
He was apparently really, really butthurt, and he was calling me evil. That only an evil person would do this. That making fun of the way he talks or making light of the way he talks is like
69 viewers. Hold on.
Awesome.
69 viewers. Nice. Sorry.
But
sorry, Anthony.
apparently he put it akin to like making fun of a handicapped person, and
Oh, for
it's like,
fuck's sake!
it's
It's
so
not a
ridiculous.
handicap, you jackass.
It's so freaking ridiculous. And hang on a sec. So, what did he say? Show me a science. Okay, so he did the whole show me a science paper that claims energy was never created and existed beyond the Big Bang. That you doubled down on my voice shows how evil you are. I frankly don't care because you are not the first one ridiculing me and my voice. So keep going and have fun. Do so as well in regards to handicapped people and anyone that is different of some sort. I despise and repugnate people that behave like you deeply. So obviously his grammar is all over the place. He doesn't have a full mastery of the English language.
Yeah, English is his second language, so that I can look past. I can look past that shit, but for fuck's sake, it's not.
Yeah.
it's
So then he
not
goes
a
on to
handicapped.
quote mine NASA and completely take their stuff out of context.
Well, that's what he does. That's his go-to. I'm gonna find words in a paper that match what I want him to say, and it doesn't matter what order those words appear in that paper, and it doesn't matter the context of those words in that paper. But because the words that I want are in that paper, I'm going to use it as evidence. No, it's not how this works.
Yeah. Timo Lynch for €2 says, fun fact, Brazilian Kermit is also called Caco ou Sapo. I like it. I like it a lot. Any more fun facts? I'll read out any more fun facts in the site. Crafty reckons I'm going to be coming home during a thunderstorm. Why does that not surprise me? That sounds like exactly what would happen if I was to go to anywhere, that it would start thundering immediately. For I am Thor. So yeah, any more fun facts in the side chat? Johnny, you got any fun facts?
Fun fact: Johnny O started a new diet and he's very hungry.
What the hell is this?
What?
A different type of energy?
Oh man, I was wondering how long it was going to take you to see that.
You're such a child.
You know what I found really funny though, Jail. You all right, we always rag on poor old Tony because I'm able to wind him up. He's wide of me now though, so he knows what I do now, so he doesn't get wound up as easily. He just laughs me off, calls me an idiot, which he's probably right to do. You, however, don't seem to be able to get past it when I say something like, and of course we all know Jail Warren has his own religious convictions. You go, wait a minute, motherfucker. And I'm like,
I like how your impersonation of JL is this like redneck cowboy thing.
Wait a minute there,
That's all I
motherfucker.
listen here,
I'll put down my paps, come over there and teach you a lesson.
my favorite video on the whole of the internet is there's this guy cuts off a biker. It's in Texas. He cuts off a biker, and the biker swears at him or whatever, and then they all pull over, and the biker's like, the guy in the car's like, I'm gonna tell you something, and the biker's like, nah, you ain't gonna tell me shit. And I was like, I have to go to wherever the fuck that town is. And basically, the biker's friend just comes out of nowhere with his helmet on and just headbutts the guy. And I was like, this is so much America in such a small space. We got 2 super chats to read out. Peter Collins for 59.6 says, Sunday is so much better with you guys. Thanks. Thank you so much. Welcome to Mass. And Mr. Malort for $4.99 US says, are you Thor because you fell again? It's because I dropped the hammer, baby. That's why I'm Thor.
You didn't see the video? You didn't see the TikTok?
Oh wait, I just got that. I just got that in
Thor. Yeah, Thor.
But, yeah.
Did you not see the TikTok video on the July 4th one? July 4th celebration. It's a guy in a boat, in a motorboat. He's like, and he's got nothing on but a USA Speedo. The dude is ripped as shit. He's got fireworks exploding out of the boat, while he then reaches down and pulls up this big ass, deadlift bar, and is just like in the boat going, oh. With, I think it was Rush playing on like loud.
Rush,
just like blah, or some shit like that.
He was almost all American until he started playing Rush.
Yeah, he's in Rush Canadian.
Yes,
but I mean, I can't remember. So maybe I'm conflating, but it was rock. It was rock, is what it was. So he's like, and I was like, fuck, man, this dude's got all the America. And then he dropped the weight in the boat.
Uh-oh.
Which I was really hoping it would go through the boat, because that would have been pure America right there.
Yep.
America. I love the guy who he falls into a river. He's got a beer in his hand, and he's like, "Woo, America!" And then he falls into the river, and he still saves his beer. He's like holding his beer out of the water. And then he just pops up and he's like, yeah, America. And then he starts drinking the beer. I was like, that man is a legend. Awesome. So apparently there's a movie called America the Motion Picture, and it's the most America movie ever. Commander Darklight for 10 Australia dollars says, thank you so much, by the way, says this show is so much better live. Another good thing about lockdown. Nice. Thank you so much, Commander Darklight. Of course, my streaming times will be changing once I get back to Ireland. The good thing about living in Ireland in terms of streaming times and stuff like that is it pretty much suits everybody because Ireland's the best country in the world. So basically, whenever I stream, it'll be good for the Aussies because it'll be early. It'll be good for the Americans because it'll be late. And it'll be good for the Europeans because it'll be in the middle of the day. So it's good for everybody.
Give it 6 months. Anyway. Give it 6 months. This guy's going to be up in Ireland, and we're not going to be able to fucking understand him anymore.
Hi there.
If I get off the phone with my dad, it happened one day. I was on a live stream. I was talking to my dad on the phone, and people were commenting all over the place. They're like, dude, your accent completely changed. And it happened when I was working in the jail, and one of my friends came over from Ireland, so I took a week off and we hung out for a week or whatever. And when I went back to work, everybody's like, what happened to your accent, man? And I was like, oh yeah, sorry. And so what you folks might notice when I get back to Ireland is that maybe my voice might change a bit and the slang might pop in a little bit more if I'm calling people langers and gombeans and stuff like that. Don't worry too much about it. I haven't had a brain injury. It's just literally the way they talk there. So just bear that in mind.
I gotta ask you, dude. You're about to leave. You're about to leave Australia. Have you met PhD Tony yet?
No, I haven't.
They live on like opposite sides of Australia. It's like 17 hours away.
It's a long walk.
It's not like I'm in LA and he's in freaking New York. Okay, it's
actually longer.
No, it's not.
It's further, you dumb shit. Yes, it is.
It's okay. No. Hang on a second. When I lived in Texas, no. When I lived in Texas, and my family was in South Carolina, that's a 22-hour drive, and that's halfway from Texas to South Carolina, and it's like 24 hours to go to California, which I've made that drive as well. So
JL, you're missing the point. You're missing the point, JL. Not everything. Wait a second. Not everything in America is trying to kill you.
So here's the thing, JL.
It's just a long.
I'm gonna go full Kevin Hart here. Here's the thing, JL. Let me tell you something, JL. Here's the thing, right? Here's the difference between going from Texas to South Carolina and going from Perth to the Australian Capital Territory. So you guys know what a desert is. It's quite hot where you are. Yeah, fine. Okay, how about this? How about one of those the whole way for 40 hours of driving?
It was not 40 hours.
Everything and person.
Well, it's about 36
it is about 40 hours.
It's about 36 hours from Perth to Melbourne.
The other thing is the Australian outback is approximately 4 kilometers away from the sun, so it is extremely hot. There is no water. Every person, thing, and element of everything around you wants to kill you, and it is scary as shit because you could drive. Yeah, What's that movie?
He's like just Wolf Creek.
Wolf Creek, yeah. Basically, it's everybody's the guy from Wolf Creek, and the thing about it is,
it's an army of Mick Taylors out there in the outback.
It's an army of Mick Taylors, yeah. That's why we all have big rhubars on the front. It's not for kangaroos; it's for Mick Taylors. It's just like palaver, mate, bam. It's like, see ya, keep rolling.
What are you? But you a pig shooter? You bet your life.
You bet your life. But here's the thing, right? So when you drive in the outback. And I have done, and I've gotten lost in the outback, and I've gotten stuck in the outback, which is not fun, right? So I started driving one day to a place called Kalgoorlie, which is it's got the biggest hole in the world, and also is the biggest hole in the world. It's a shithole. But anyway, so I was driving to Kalgoorlie, and I got lost, and I ended up on what's known as a corrugated road, which is just sand, basically. And I thought, okay, I'm in the middle of Australia here in the desert and I'm going to die. And eventually I looked on the map at where I actually got lost. And if you look at the map of Australia, it's about a millimeter in from the coast. It's like not even nearly halfway there. And the other time I was up in like the deep bush was up in the Pilbara, which is in the northwest kind of center of Australia, in the middle of the desert. At the end of December, so it was about 1,400 degrees. It was crazy hot, and we got off this bush plane that landed just in the sand, basically. And this local guy came to pick us up in a ute with no air conditioning.
What is a ute?
I thought I was going to die. A ute is what y'all call a pickup truck, but it's like an El Camino.
Got it.
I got it.
It's kind of like an El Camino.
Excuse me. What is a ute?
What was that word you said there?
One lady I know calls him a youth, like a young person, a youth, and I'm like, it's short for utility. There's no H on the end of it. It's a ute. But yeah, so picked us up, no air conditioning, thought I was gonna die, and I walked to the only shop there at like 3 a.m, and it happened to be open, and everybody's like, I cannot believe you walked there at nighttime because the people and animals will kill you. And I was like, yeah, haha. Let's all play jokes on the paddy. And then I saw the very serious faces, and they're like, no, legitimately, the people here will kill you, and so will everything else that lives here. So, you might want to not do that at nighttime. I was like, alrighty then. Well, thank you.
Well,
for
I
that.
mean, it's not. But I mean, it's not like they're like jungle. It's not like Africa. It's not like there are great cats there or Komodo dragons that are looking to eat you. There are snakes. There are ants. I mean, there's dangerous animals out there, but they're not things that actively hunt humans. I mean, you could stumble across like a like a king brown, and you know, if you fuck around, you're going to be in a world of hurt, or an inland taipan or some shit like that. But it's not like there's like active like
kangaroo.
well, but they don't actively hunt humans though.
No, but if you come across one, they'll beat the shit. They'll kill you.
If you come
They
across
will.
one, it will eat your face off. I'm not even kidding. I had one interaction. I had an interaction with a kangaroo. It was when I was up in the Pilbara, and we were on a mine site. I was doing security, and I was in my truck, and I was up on a hill. It was the only kind of grassy, not even grass. It's not fucking grass. It's like this weird, sharp horror grass. And I was sitting in the van. It was.
Did you
It was
say
12 o'clock
Did you
at
say
night.
sharp horror grass?
Yes, I did, and I meant what I said. It was awful. And so I was in the van, and it was so hot. Like, it was so hot. And you could see the whole Milky Way. It was amazing. What an incredible place to be. And there wasn't another human being for probably 300 or 400 miles in any direction. It was quite incredible. And I was in the van, and I heard a boom on the side of the van, and it is so dark there. There's just no light whatsoever. I was like, oh my God, what the fuck is this? And I put on my flashlight, and it was a huge daddy red kangaroo just like humping himself off the door, like bam. And so then I beeped, and he ran off, and I was like, okay, I almost died. Like, that thing was massive. It was like, I don't know, it was like Mike Tyson if Mike Tyson was a kangaroo. Like, the thing was an absolute machine. The other thing then is the wild dogs. The wild dogs will, if you run into a pack of wild dogs in Australia, you will not get out of there alive. In the outback, those dogs are camp dogs. They're called. They're a mixture of dingoes and feral dogs, and then the dingoes would try to kill you. Also, the saltwater crocodiles, they will mess you up big style.
Well, yeah, if you go in the water, I mean,
Don't you mean the water?
but think about it. There's,
Water.
I get it. There's a lot of dangerous stuff.
Water.
There's a lot of very dangerous things in Australia. There are, but I mean,
Emus.
similar to Texas. In Texas, you've got technically in Texas we have more. Back in Texas, we have more venomous reptiles than you actually have down there. We have more varieties of them and more of them. It's like I think there's like 5 different ones, and there's variations on all of those. So I mean, there's fucking poisonous snakes all over the place. Copperheads are a real problem up here where I'm currently living now in Oklahoma. That's like we have to constantly be on guard because we're so rural. The grass builds up grows really quick because we actually get a fair amount of rain, and copperheads love hanging out in tall grass. So, and with the dogs running around in our giant backyard, that's a constant thing that we have to be concerned about. So, I mean,
Not if you mow your grass, JL.
Well, that's true. Yeah, but poisonous snakes are a thing. But inclement weather is a thing. It gets hot as fuck in Texas. You know, it gets cold as hell in Texas as well. We don't have kangaroos.
But you guys have like truck stops, and you guys have like other human beings, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so if you so here's the difference, right? Here's the difference. If you're driving around, what's American, Route 66 or whatever road you're on in Texas, right? And you're bombing it away through Texas. Yes, there are obviously big areas of the US that have nothing, like Death Valley or whatever, but if you're bombing it along through Texas and you break down, chances are another vehicle will be within a mile of you or 2 miles of you or whatever. If you're in the deep outback, right, like driving along the Nullarbor or in the Pilbara or Wongalong or whatever it's called in Western Australia, if you're driving through that area, you break down and you got no comms and nobody knows where you are, you're dead. You're dead. There's no two ways about it. You've got no chance of getting out of there.
Well, yeah, but you wouldn't drive out there. You wouldn't drive out there unless you had the preparation. I mean, obviously you'd be stocked up on water, you'd be stocked up on food, you'd have a CB, you probably have.
You would think that, wouldn't you?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't drive out there. Yeah, I wouldn't drive out territory without that shit.
But you just suggested that all the Irish has to do is a hop, skip, and a jump away to go see Tony. My goodness.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, why don't you just walk over there? In Texas, that's what we do. We make our shoes out of poisonous snakes and blah, blah, blah. Yeah,
That's
whatever,
true.
man.
We do
I
make them out of poisonous
I
snakes.
wear Gila monsters on my feet. Do you not understand this?
He intentionally gets bitten by venomous snakes to build up his immunity to them. That's what he goes for.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, well, in Texas.
You've seen that guy.
black
You've seen that guy,
stick shooter.
right? You guys know.
Yeah, I've seen that idiot.
Fucking hell.
Dumb shit. Yeah. I
Oh,
got bit by a venomous
Sable,
snake.
Sable Eagle says, do people ring your doorbell to ask permission to go hunting in your backyard? Do you own a home that is mobile in 14 cars that aren't? Crafty
funny.
Keela says, is JL having a dick measuring contest? Our deadly critters are bigger than your deadly critters. No, I will not say that. The dangerous
sounded
animals
like
in
that.
North the dangerous I will say
Sure
this,
did.
the dangerous animals in North America, the dangerous snakes and the spiders like that, do not get to the size that they do in Australia.
Correct.
Our most dangerous
saw-
spider, our most dangerous spider is the black widow. Is the most dangerous spider, and it literally is like, I think they get as big as a quarter. The females do.
Yeah.
The Sydney funnel web is a fucking
fuck you
monster. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean
Yeah,
it's no Goliath bird eater, but that's a big ass spider. So yeah,
man.
King Browns, I
I've
think
seen some.
King Browns can
I've
get up to
seen some
what?
big ones.
How big can King Brown get?
Big.
Like it's like 9 feet. I've heard.
I mean, we can get
Easily.
some. We can get
Easily.
some Western Diamondbacks that get up close to 8 feet.
They get up
so-
like 6-7 feet. Yeah, but I mean the King Browns are larger. Inland taipans.
Our spiders are like I've seen some massive spiders here. Like I once saw a spider that was literally eating a kangaroo, walking away with a kangaroo, but then it turned out that I'd eaten those mushrooms and it wasn't actually an animal at all.
I have seen a picture of that spider eating that bird.
Oh, that was unreal, isn't it? I tell you a funny animal story. I have two funny animal stories that happened to me. 3, okay. And I will tell these because they're 3 funny. While we're on the Farewell Stray, I have another Farewell Stray stream proper on Tuesday, but I'll tell these stories probably then too. But anyway, so the first one is a short one. I was out at a job. We got called out to an urgent disturbance at a building site. And I pulled up in the patrol car, jumped out, and I was like shining my torch around and didn't notice anything. And the guy that came along, who was my colleague, shined his torch down on my feet, and he was like, "Don't look down, just gently walk away." I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Don't look down, just walk away slowly." So what did I do? Of course, I looked down, and I was standing on a
Well, he's an
massive
asshole for
brown
telling
snake.
you not to look down, because the first fucking thing a human's going to
What's the
do when
first
you
thing
say,
you're gonna
don't
do?
do this, they're, oh, what? Oh.
It was a massive brown snake. I genuinely thought I was standing on a pipe. Like, it felt like I was standing on a pipe, but it was dead. But I still got a big fright. The second one was, obviously there was that kangaroo one as well, but another interaction I had with a scary animal in Australia was when I was doing security and we were doing mobile patrols, and I was new in the country at the time, and I had to do the perimeter fence of the zoo. And so I was walking around the perimeter fence of the zoo, checking everything, yada, yada, yada. And I saw a set of eyes gleaming back at me from a tree outside the zoo. And of course I thought, oh, what's this? So I shined it up, and it was this little brown animal. It looked like a monkey. So I thought, oh shit, a monkey has escaped from the zoo. And it is my job to call the boss and tell her what happened. So I rang my boss. I said, hey, look, I'm just doing the patrol around the monkey. And I patrol around the zoo, and there's a monkey in a tree. And she's like, well, that's where the monkey is supposed to be. And I was like, yeah, but not on the outside of the zoo. She was like, wait. The monkey's outside the zoo? I was like, yeah, it's outside the zoo. There's a monkey in the tree. She was like, okay, stand under the tree and make sure that the monkey doesn't get out of the tree. We'll call the zoo. So they called the zoo. The zoo sent out some of their zookeepers. They sent out the police, literally sent out the police to block off the road so that if the monkey did run down, that nobody would hit it in their car, and sent out the rangers, who are not like army rangers or anything, not special forces, the city rangers who deal with animals or whatever. And basically they made a big old circle around the tree with all their gear, and they started closing in on the tree. And then one of them looked up and was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake, mate!" And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "It's a fucking possum." I was like, okay, monkey, possum, whatever. Put it back in the zoo, right? They're like, "No, mate, they're wild. They live here. They live in the trees here." I was like, "Oh." So I just cost the taxpayer probably $20,000 in manpower for a possum.
And the possums that you
was.
have, the possums that you have are actually different from our possums.
You have opossums.
Yeah, they are. They're
Yeah.
No, you have all possums. We have possums.
No,
Yeah.
it's the other way around.
No, ours are opossums.
Well, okay, let me double check because when I looked it up, it showed the opossums were more marsupial than we had.
And just to clarify, while he's
birth
looking
there.
that up, Facty said that daddy longlegs have venom. No, that is a myth. The daddy longlegs, or the cellar spider, which is what they're called, they do not have venom glands, fangs, or any other mechanism for chemically subduing their food. Therefore, they do not have injectable toxins. Some have defensive secretions that can be toxic to animals if ingested. So for the daddy longlegs, the daddy longlegs, the tail is clearly false. They don't have fangs. They don't have poisons. They have nothing. It is a myth.
So Frank Perry for $5 US. Thank you so much, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Says, so basically everything wants to kill you. The difference is driving 30 hours in the US. There are cities. The outback is nothing. And that is absolutely true. It is absolutely vast and there's just nothing there. It's like we're I think it's like 99.9% of our population live on the coast. Very few people live inland. It's quite inhospitable, to be honest, but it's an amazing, beautiful place, but it wants to kill you. So yeah,
I had it backwards.
Yeah, I know. I accept your apology. I accept your apology.
I'm not apologizing to you, you fucker.
Oh yeah, the cockroaches here are enormous too, man.
Oh, but but you don't have. I mean, you don't have Texas roaches though.
Well, technically, we don't have Texas roaches either. We have German cockroaches, and then we have these gigantic, prehistoric, fucking things that come out of, what was that movie, Mimic? Yeah, we have those things. Yeah. Here.
We got monsters. 1, they fly. 2, they're territorial. 3,
they don't fly. They glide with flapping their wings. They fly. They fall.
Wait.
They fall gracefully.
1, they fly. 2, they're territorial. 3, they will bite you.
Ours don't do that. They just run away. They're big, but they run away. You know, they're not like. So the other animal story is one of my favorite ones. I actually have a photograph of this. If I can find it, I'll send it to Johnny in a bit. So I was up in this beautiful little town called Exmouth in the Northwest.
I never got that other photo you sent me, by the way.
Oh, really? Maybe I sent it to the wrong person. It doesn't matter. So yeah, we were up in this beautiful town called Exmouth up in the Northwest, and it's covered in emus. There's emus everywhere up there, and they kind of walk around the village or whatever. So nobody told me this, so I wasn't expecting to be face to face with a bird the same size as me. I'd never seen one before. So we got up there really, really early in the morning. We flew into the Air Force Base up there, and in the morning we were driven into the town after being on the piss with a load of Marines. We had a great time. US and Australian Marines, and we all drove into the town in one of those army trucks in the morning. Nobody thought it might be a good idea to tell me that there may be emus and don't go anywhere near them because they'll peck your brain out through your nose. So anyway, I'm half asleep. I walk into the store. You guys
lost a war to them.
Lost a war to emus. I mean, although that's not the only bird. We also have lost many a daily war against magpies. Magpies here are so dangerous. But anyway, so I went into the store. I'm standing in the queue. And this is a true, like, genuinely, this is how it happened, right? So I'm standing in the queue with my sandwich and my bottle of drink or whatever. And I'm in, like, a kind of a bit of a hangover state or whatever. And I look to my right, and the guy next to me looked a bit strange, but I didn't really take any notice. Like, literally looked at it, looked away, and then I went, hold on a fucking second, that's an emu. There was literally an emu in the queue. I'm not even kidding. There was like a woman paying for her stuff. Then there was a kid. Then there was an emu, and then there was me. And then there was a guy behind me, and I was like, what did I drink? Like, this emu's waiting in the queue. And then he just snatched a bag of chips and took off out the door. I'm not even kidding. I think I have I'll see if I can find the photo of it because it's so
What the hell
funny.
was that?
But
that's Carl. He comes in and visits every once in a while.
Yeah, that's Carl. Yeah, He's got an account with us. I'll see if I can find this photograph. It's so funny. Because it happened like 3 or 4 more times where we were in there, and it's like, oh my god.
An emu. It's like he's like elbowing his friend, dude. There's an emu in the queue.
Yeah, it's Kyle.
Am I the only one that sees these emus? It's like I'm like
an emu in the queue.
I was like, why are half the people here emus? What's going on here? I was like, there's a really big, really angry fucking chicken looking at me right now, and I feel very uncomfortable.
Who was it? Friggin' Jarl. Johnny Jarl says something. The most dangerous animal in the U.S. is the Van Nuys mall cougar.
And then I think it was somebody else said that it was actually Ted Cruz.
Oh, that's the most dangerous monster.
Most dangerous monster, yeah.
But the Van Nuys mall cougar, yeah, that's a dangerous animal right there.
Yeah, it really is. That really is.
It targets the young and impressionable.
Yes. Jesus Christ. Oh man.
How do you think emus get their coffee? Well, obviously.
Yeah, they gotta get it from the fucking 7E.
There's a question. How are magpies dangerous? That's from Tim McCaffrey.
Have you ever seen a magpie?
They swoop.
They're fucking huge.
Yeah,
they're massive and incredibly aggressive. Like
they're like blue jays, only 5 times bigger.
Well, mockingbirds are pretty damn aggressive too. I mean,
mockingbirds. Okay, so mockingbirds and blue jays are aggressive if you get too close to the nest. Magpies are aggressive if you just exist.
Yeah, but
magpies just suck, man.
But mockingbirds will attack you, or they'll make you feel bad about yourself. So I mean, that's why.
Yeah, exactly. They call me fat.
Yep.
The mockingbird.
So basically, what they do, when they're brooding or whatever, they swoop, but they like really go for your eyes and stuff. So people put zip ties on their helmets to scare them away, and they put like false eyes on the back of their helmets. There's loads of videos of them attacking people. It's crazy.
The Australian magpie, robust bird, 14.5 to 17 inches in length, with distinctive black and white plumage. Solid wedge, say bluish white and black bill.
Thank you, Sir David Attenborough.
Yeah, I like how they say what is it, robust. That's just a nice way of saying fat fucking bird.
Over 1,000 magpies were introduced into New Zealand, but have subsequently been accused of displacing the native birds, now treated as a pest species.
Yeah, that was an act of war, giving them magpies.
The Australian magpie is the mascot of several Australian sporting teams, most notably Collingwood, Western Suburbs, Port Adelaide,
Magpies.
Yep, and Hawke's Bay. Is it a mean bird? I'm trying to find something on there.
Yes.
Have a look at the videos on YouTube. It's insane. I've been swooped loads of times, man.
Behavior.
Actually, just real quick, you will see when you walk around the suburbs, you will see signs. I'm not even kidding. You will see signs on the street that say magpies reported swooping in this area. That's no joke. Look up magpie sign and you'll see.
Did I ever tell you guys this story that my wife brought to me a few weeks ago, where this lady calls into this local, it was in Colorado, I think. And this lady calls into this local radio station complaining. And they ask her what her complaint was, and she says, well, my complaint, I have this problem with the deer crossing signs. And they're like, well, what do you mean? What's the problem with the deer crossing signs? And this lady, no shit, says, well, why would we encourage the deer to cross on the freeway? That's dangerous for the deer.
Jesus Christ. That's a smart lady right there.
I'm telling you.
Being unexpectedly swooped while cycling can result in loss of control of the bicycle, which may cause injury or even fatal accidents. If it is necessary to walk near the nest, wearing a broad-brimmed or Legionnaire's hat or using an umbrella will deter attacking birds, but beanies and bicycle helmets are of little value, as the birds will attack the sides and the neck. They prefer to swoop at the back of the head. Yeah,
they're bitches. They go for your back.
They're mean fuckers.
So apparently,
they're angry little chickens.
So apparently, you can. I mean, there's a cyclist wearing a helmet with spikes to ward off diving magpies.
Sounds legit.
People running around like Mad Max. It's like, why are you dressed like that? The local flora and fauna.
So true.
I did not
Where's this
marry the
picture,
lady
man?
calling in, you jerk. I married the woman who told me about the woman who called in.
Yeah, sure. I'm trying to find this picture. It's such a funny picture, man.
Which picture is
Oh,
it?
found it. So it's one of the other pictures I got of an emu in the store. I'm sending it to you right now.
That's funny.
Sable Eagle says, I've seen
Also-
a video of a badger finding a new wooden lap panel fence across one of its favorite foraging routes. It walked right into it, sniffed it, patted it a few times, then tore a badger-sized hole right through it.
Yep.
Badgers are mean as shit, man.
Yeah, they can be. Oh, yeah, I'm not putting that on, by the way.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a picture I took when I was up in the bush. I'm not even kidding.
Did you?
I'll send it to you, JL. I'll put it in my Discord so everybody can see it because Johnny doesn't want to put it on the screen. Understandably. It's in my Discord.
I swear, what is it with you and those?
I can't help it.
what is the
Everywhere I
other
go,
one?
I'm like that kid. I'm like that kid from Superbad. I just see dicks everywhere. Indie Tiger for $5 says Mockingjay are the worst. Beautiful birds, but deadly as hell with a bow and arrow. That's a good point.
Yep.
They will mess you up, and they will mock you. I got what you meant by Mockingjay. I got that reference. I got it.
I
I
understood
just
that
got it
reference.
actually.
Yeah.
I've never seen the movie, but I have. But I don't remember it very well. It's a good movie. I like those ones where I don't remember shit. Because then I get surprised all over again when I watch it again. It's great.
All right, let me get your. Have you guys? What is the? Is it? It's the penis fly trap. You guys have seen this one, yes?
Yes.
I've got them all over my garden. They're so fun.
Just a bunch of dicks hanging around.
I gotta use the restroom. 2 seconds.
Speaking of which,
I do. I have to use the restroom. What do you want from me?
Sure.
yeah, sure.
It's the restroom that you have to use.
Going in for a Thomas the Tank.
All right, hang on a second. Oh fuck me, this is too big. Said no.
I like the picture you put up. I like the picture you put up for Tony.
The galah.
Well, yeah, I was gonna. Is it a galah?
Yeah.
I thought galah were pink and gray. No, I think that's a cockatoo because Tony does like a cockatoo.
That's a galah. I know what you're doing there, but that's a galah.
Yeah, no.
There's the.
Yeah,
there's
you ruined
the,
it.
There's the emu in the store.
Legitimate emu in a legitimate shop. There you go.
That's fucking great.
You don't see that every day unless you live there, in which case you literally do all the time. Just waiting in the queue, just chilling. Nobody gives a shit, by the way. That's what freaked me out. It happens all the time, mate. I was like, really? That you should probably sort that out. Like, there's a really cool island just off the coast of Perth called Rottnest Island, and they have these little beautiful quokkas, really cute little animals, and they look like rats, hence the name Rat's Nest. But they're actually like really tiny, like kangaroo-looking things, and they have these little special doors so that they can't go into the store and steal stuff. It's really fun.
Hey, what kind of bird is this again? What did you call it?
An emu.
You're welcome, Crafty.
Why? What's wrong with saying emu?
Nothing at all.
What? Am I saying it wrong? Is it an emu, as the French would say?
I don't know. I always thought it was an emu.
I always thought it was an emu too.
Maybe it's something different.
Because that's how the Aboriginals say it. They say emu.
And it's kind of funny. This bird is socially distancing. Look at it. He's staying 6 feet apart from the person in front of him.
Yeah, he's social distancing. He was really laid back. He didn't have a Karen moment.
He's not wearing his mask though.
He isn't. It's because they've got little birdie beaks and they fall off.
Oh,
so
I see.
It's accepted.
Okay,
It is
gotcha.
accepted. Yeah. They
emu, not emu. Okay, emu. Yeah.
I would challenge that. I do think it's emu.
I think it's
I'm
one of
pretty
those.
sure that's.
I think it's one of those potato.
I think it's one of
things.
those. Yeah, I think it is one of those. Mr. B says he was getting a 6-pack and a pack of Durries, some Stubbies and Durries. I actually saw a guy the other day, and his license plate was Durries. I was like, "That's hilarious." Durries are cigarettes, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really funny. I always thought it was emu.
Godwin's driver says it's emo.
Emo. No, they're just the really sad ones.
Right.
Timo Lynch for €5 says that would not be allowed in Ireland. The emu is not wearing a mask. He might have forgot it after all. He does have bird brains.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you very much. Or maybe he was just too chicken. Huh? Anybody? So where's JL? Is JL having a party in the background?
He is. He's dropping a deuce and then playing with the dog, and
That's what I was wondering. I was like, he's having like a tap dancing competition there in the background.
yep.
How do I pronounce the letter U? Like that.
You.
Emu.
Clive Wells says he actually says MU, not emu.
Look, big flightless bird that pecks your fucking brains out.
I think, but emus are tough. But I mean, cassowaries are worse.
Cassowaries are crazy, man.
Dinosaur
They
bird.
are
It's just
unbelievable. They're so cool though, and they eat these massive nuts. I tried to stop the words as they were coming out, but alas, was in vain.
all the cool things about the cassowary, and that's the thing that
That's
you come
that's
up
your
with.
go-to.
It is really cool. They can swallow these really big ones. It's like, it's just weird. You fucking children. You can see it go down its throat. It's pretty cool. Wasn't it a cassowary that nearly gutted what was that guy? Hey, Pilgrims, that guy, what's his name?
John Wayne?
Draw away.
Yeah, wasn't it a cassowary that nearly gutted him on a golf course?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was.
I'm
yeah.
not familiar with this story.
Yeah, it was either cassowary. It was one of the big birds anyway. It nearly killed him.
I looked at there was only one movie that almost killed John Wayne, and he was almost trampled by 50 horses.
No, it wasn't during a movie. It was when he was playing golf.
It was on She Wore a Yellow Ribbon. He almost
Days of
died.
Mangoes.
Tony Regime said it was
They're
Johnny
not-
Cash was attacked by an ostrich.
Oh, Johnny Cash. That's who it was, and it was an ostrich. Close enough. It's actually mangoes that cassowaries are eating, not big nuts. Still pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
So Johnny Cash once owned a recording studio in Tennessee, which also had an exotic animal park attached to it. An African ostrich named Waldo attacked him and
What
left
could
him with
possibly go wrong?
5 broken ribs and an internal bleeding. He once tried to fight. So the title of this article is Johnny Cash once tried to fight an ostrich and lost.
Down, 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 down.
Imagine just sitting there getting baked with Johnny Cash, and he's like, "I'm gonna go fight an ostrich."
You do that.
Alrighty then.
Wait a
Let's
second.
roll.
Now there's another one. 5 musicians with real animal attack experience. This is a common thing apparently.
Johnny O and the opossum.
Taylor Mitchell and coyotes.
I'll be right back. I need to go use the ladies' room.
Johnny Cash and his ostrich. Richard Thompson and scorpion. Russell Lissack and lion. Dappy and horse.
I can get the horse, but the lion?
Russell Lissack. So many of the deaths tied to large animals. He's the only snake-related deaths in the U.S. Blah blah blah. Russell Lissack, the guitarist of Block Party, had an experience more similar to the latter. He was playing with a lion cub on a supervised animal preserve in South Africa when, like any cat, it got a little too playful and left him with wounds worthy of a hospital trip and stitches. Consider the claws and bite of a typical house cat before you do something stupid and buy a tiger. The pain grows exponentially when the cats get bigger. So, Richard Thompson and Scorpion. Folk icon Richard Thompson ran into trouble when he was touring in Mexico. A scorpion was lurking in his luggage and stung him on his right hand, temporarily incapacitating his picking hand and forcing him to cancel 3 weeks worth of tour dates.
God damn. He must have been allergic. Because that shit hurts. I mean, a scorpion sting hurts, but they generally don't have enough venom in them to, really cause that kind of damage. Again, unless you're allergic to scorpion venom.
So Johnny Cash was another one. Among the animals he kept at his personal animal park were ostriches. Cash was very hands-on with the animal, and at one point during '81, he was having troubles with a particular male named Waldo and attempted to show who was the dominant species when confronted by the animal. The human side did not win. The ostrich caught Cash with a lengthy claw and broke several of his ribs, slashed his stomach open, and then broke a few more ribs when the country legend was thrown onto the ground. Cash claimed in his biography that he got off easy, noting that he could have been fatally gutted if the claw hadn't been deterred by his large belt buckle.
See, those stupid belt buckles save lives.
And the incident nearly killed him indirectly as well, as the prescription medication he was given to him led him to fall back into pill addiction years after overcoming it the first time.
That's just an excuse. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
It was the ostrich. Apparently, the Canadian folk singer Taylor Mitchell was hiking at Cape Breton Highlands National Park in Nova Scotia when she was surprisingly attacked by several coyotes.
Them fuckers are, one coyote is dangerous enough. You get a pack of them motherfuckers. Jesus Christ.
She was found alive by another group of hikers who had to charge off a defensive member of their pack several times before it finally withdrew. She was transported to hospital but died from a massive loss of blood.
Damn.
Investigations suggested that Mitchell had done nothing to instigate the attack by feeding it, or the coyotes at Cape Breton just seemed to be more aggressive than their relatives elsewhere.
That's, fucking hell. I don't think people realize how big coyotes can be. So everybody looks at timber wolves big. That's true. Timber wolves are huge, fucking huge. Coyotes can get pretty goddamn big.
I've seen back in Allen. I've seen coyotes walking up the street, just going along because Allen was expanding out into Lucas.
We get them a lot over here too because of where I'm at. It's still a lot of countryside, not too far from us, and it's expanding rather quickly. And during the initial lockdown here, we used to see coyotes walking up and down the freeway again.
Yeah,
big fuckers.
I've got both whitetail deer out here and coyotes, and we hear them every single night when they're yapping around. There's lots of them out there because right next to us on the other side of the major thoroughfare is nothing but grassland. It's absolutely nothing out there. And I hear every night, we hear the coyotes yapping along and doing their thing. I've seen a few on the side of the road that are decent size, not as big as the ones I've seen in Allen. I've seen some in Allen that I saw one coming up the road one time. It was the middle of the night, and I heard the claws tapping on and I was like, whoa, is that a dog? And then I look over there, and in kind of the darkness, I was like, God damn, that's a big dog. I was like, nope, that's a coyote. That's a big one.
It was an emu. Well, anyway, folks, we've been going for about 2 hours, and I got to get early in the morning to do some work and stuff to get ready to go. So we're going to wrap it up real quick. Turn it over to you, lads and lassies. JL, what have you got going on?
So, as a lot of people may know, obviously I'm working on my own personal content for my channel. I just broke 1,000 subs recently, and I'm really happy about that. It seems to be growing pretty steadily now that I'm over 1,000. I'm working on my next content. Things have gotten a little bit more dense in my schedule because of the recent success of the short film that we have produced. So that is requiring to maintain the momentum on that. It's requiring my attention on Week in Horror a little bit more than it was before because I've got to get this current script done, and I still have to produce, get the scripts ready to go for the current shows. I'm getting a lot of requests to write things all of a sudden. People are saying, "Hey, would you be interested in this or this?" And I'm kind of like, "Oh wow, I've never been." So things are a little hectic at the moment. I didn't expect this kind of success that we had, But so now I'm kind of like I have to deal with that, and I can't just drop the ball on this because our entire team at the podcast is, we're all involved in this. Johnny knows exactly what I'm talking about regarding.
Yep.
So things are a little bit hectic with that. It's awesome consequences, just unforeseen. So I'm dealing with that, getting my personal content done, and you'll see me dropping stuff. I'll still continue to drop stuff as often as I can. I've been stuck in front of this computer writing because there's a lot of shit that I have to write, and it's cool. It's a good problem to have. I have lots of work ahead of me.
The new Ghostbusters movie isn't going to write itself.
Exactly.
Right.
I am so close to my watch hours. Like,
how long have you got to go, JL?
I think I'm like 300 hours away, which means I need to do. I'm thinking about doing a live stream and just doing something. I just don't know.
Next week with the next Beardsmen on your channel. That should
and a debate would be good if there's I'd be happy to do that. Effed up world. If
I'll
debate
debate you on something. I'll debate you on something.
What do you want to debate me on?
We could do like which country has the most dangerous animals, or something crazy like that. Something fun.
We could actually talk comparisons between Australia and like Texas, or
Ireland.
I mean, there's a lot of incident.
Yeah, but you're not allowed to use Loch Ness Monster, okay?
That's
Scotland.
I know, jackass. Golly,
we weren't sure you did.
Be part of the joke. No,
Jesus
don't.
Christ.
Cornflakes. One thing I can say, Irish, you guys don't have.
Oh, actually,
Irish.
Johnny,
one thing I can say, you guys don't have scorpions.
I think we do.
Death's Head Scorpion, or sorry,
Johnny,
Death Walkers.
Is that your clan tartan? I'm pretty sure it's the same.
Hang on a second.
Oh, neat.
I found it earlier.
Can't really see, but it's possible.
Because I looked up your clan tartan, and I think that was pretty close.
I think that's pretty close, yeah.
I'm going to burn it in effigy.
Sweet.
Like, I know that, Australia's got a lot of stuff, but I know you guys don't have Deathstalker scorpions.
Yeah, we also don't have like Arlington and other things that Texas has. That means that we're better.
Or Gila monsters, Mexican beaded lizards. There's a bunch of nasty stuff out here.
So we do have scorpions in Australia. Actually, jail.
Do you?
It's a stingerless, right? It's a stingerless scorpion.
There are 29 species of scorpion, actually, jail. So
it's like 4 species of scorpion you may come across. Okay, there's the brown scorpion, the desert scorpion, the marbled scorpion, and the forest scorpion.
Because I remember we were told we had to knock our boots out in the morning to stop us from getting eaten by scorpions or something.
You don't have dangerous scorpions in Australia. None of the scorpions that you have in Australia are actually. It's no worse than a bee sting. So they're
Again,
not. But
that's one of those things that if you're allergic to the venom, that's what really depends on. That's what really determines how dangerous these scorpions are.
We have the most dangerous snakes in the world. We have the death adder. We have the death adder. It's literally in the name. We have an octopus the size.
You have the inland taipan. That's one of the worst.
We have the inland and coastal taipans. We have the blue-ringed octopus, which is the size of your thumbnail, and if it farts within a mile of you, you die, basically. We have bull sharks.
You saw that video of that. You saw that video of that girl handling that blue-ringed octopus, right?
Oh, man. I put up a photograph on Facebook when I moved here first, just as a joke, of a guy with a blue-ringed octopus in his hand. And it wasn't my hand, obviously. And I posted, I was like, cool, found this awesome octopus little thing. I think I called it a squid. I was like, found this really cute little squid on the beach. And the amount of comments and messages I got afterwards to see if I was alive was so funny.
There was a there was a video that was shot obviously of some tourists were down on the beach, and I don't know where they were in Australia, but obviously one of them picked up and had this blue-ringed octopus in their hand, and they were videoing it like it was like, oh, look at this thing, it's so cute, it's so little, it's this is adorable, and things like doing its thing. And then like one of the guys was like, oh, wow, it's so small, eat it. And then she's like, no, don't do that. And then she let it go. But apparently she put it on her TikTok or YouTube, whatever, and it went viral, and everybody was like, "You have no idea what you were holding in your hands right there." It's
Yeah.
like, oh. And when she found out, she was like, "Oh crap!" She came so close. And I think the best comment I saw on it was like, it was like, "Girl, oh look at this cute little octopus. Guy, eat it." She's like, "No," and the octopus is like, "You are spared." You know? It's like, I am him, but yeah, watching her like play around with this thing, it was like, so close to death.
I think that's what we should debate.
All right, we'll set it up. We'll get it done.
Johnny O, what about you?
I actually am writing the recent success of my last video. Apparently, a lot of people like it. Had like 3,000 views in a day, which is like small potatoes for Mr. Demon over here, but for someone like me, same old shit. News coming out tomorrow. Gonna be a fun one. And then we're, still working on dingleberries and whatnot. And I'm working on a cut of the YouTube documentary, and that's kind of where I'm at right now.
What's the timeline on that, do you reckon?
I'm got a deadline for the rough cut this coming up Friday. So I'll have a rough cut together for Eugene to go through and make notes and then figure out where we can make cuts, where we need additions or whatever, where all the tweaks need to happen. And then hopefully I'll have this in the can by the end of August.
Wicked. Look forward to it. It's going to be awesome. And Tony, over to you. Nothing. Alrighty. Yes, I fucking can.
There it is.
Well, anyway,
Oh,
we'll hit the bricks, lads and lassies. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. We'll see you Tuesday night for my official farewell Australia stream, and then I think I have a stream once I get back to Ireland as well. So I'm not really sure what the details of that yet, but I'll let you guys know. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Have a good one.
All right.
Slancha.
Cilantro.
Slanty.